Okay, the long-awaited How to Build Your Own Workout Physique edition. I don't know if this is going to work or not. This is right off the dome. I have no script, no nothing. I probably didn't even review my slides, but I don't care. I'm giving you this live in the flesh. This is the real Coach JP. We're at it. We're here to give you a fucking tutorial from the studio, from Hypertrophy headquarters. Let's do it. Okay? So, technical difficulties. First slide. We have some important terms to touch on. Now, the first term I want to talk about is hypertrophy. So what the hell are we even trying to achieve with our workout program? Hypertrophy refers to the increase in the size of the muscle fibers. When we're talking about how muscles can grow, there's really two pathways, right? We have our hypertrophy pathway, the increase in the size of the muscle fibers, referred to as myofibrillar hypertrophy, and you have hyperplasia, which is basically the addition of new muscle fibers, which isn't really happening in humans, so don't even fucking worry about it. We're tossing out the window. It doesn't even matter. I'm not touching on that. Then we have mechanical tension. So I'm sure you've heard this term a lot, but what does it actually mean? So mechanical tension is the driver of muscle growth. It is the internal fiber forces that we experience during exercise. I'm not cutting any of this out. It's live in the flesh. So this refers to the active pulling force or passive pulling force. So active mechanical tension is what is going on when you are actively undergoing a contraction. Those little myosin actins, beep, they're binding like this. That's what's going on. Passive mechanical tension, think stretch or length, right? So in eccentric, we can call that more on the passive tension curve because there's more passive tension happening, right? That is also where stretch-mediated hypertrophy occurs. I'm not even going to touch about this. It doesn't even fucking matter. I'm not talking about that. It's too much nerd shit. It doesn't matter. But what we need to know about mechanical tension is that it is heavily dependent on contraction velocity. What does that even mean? So when you're doing a set, that first rep, really quick, fucking explosive. You're ready to get after it. That second rep, still pretty quick, but then that last rep in your set is slower. Involuntarily, you cannot control that. You're pulling as hard as you possibly can, but it is just slower. The reason for this is because of the force requirements, right? Slower muscle velocities are correlated with, or they're not even correlated, they literally mean that there's more internal fiber forces. The reason of this is because if it's slower, there are more of those myosin actins binding together. The contractile proteins that produce force, they're able to actually bind, pull, right? When it's fast, it looks like this. Beep. That little they're just touching each other. Those little filaments are just touching each other. But if it's actually happening, right? Those myosin heads can actually stick on the actin, pull, which happens in the slower contraction velocity. Now, that being said, this is also going to depend on motor unit recruitment. So what the fuck is a motor unit, right? What the hell does that even mean? Motor units control or innervate muscle fibers. So each motor unit innervates a number of muscle fibers. Now, when we're talking about motor unit recruitment, we're basically talking about the number of muscle fibers that are turned on. How I can explain this is do a really fucking slow bicep curl with, let's say, this camera case. No one is arguing that that's causing muscle growth. But, JP, you said slower velocities are associated with higher mechanical tension. Yes, that is true, right? But there are like basically no muscle fibers active there. There's only a couple ones active. But those muscle fibers, they're smaller. They've already been maxed out, so they can't fucking grow anymore. We use them every day, right? So they've already been as big as they're going to get. However, what we need to do is achieve high mechanical tension in the biggest muscle fibers that aren't being used on a regular basis. How do we turn these guys on? Well, you don't tease them. I see a lot of people fucking touching themselves. Yes, you could turn yourself on, sexually that way, but you're not going to turn your muscle fibers on by touching them. Stop touching yourself in your sets. You're not doing anything. What you actually need to do to increase motor unit recruitment is participate in a high-intensity effort. So what we're looking for is something that's probably like 80 to 100% of your max effort, right? That is how we're going to activate those high-threshold motor units. Guys, the top end of the motor unit pool, which are activated later on in the set. Those largest muscle fibers. So in order to have a stimulating rep, we say, we need to have high mechanical tension, and we need to have a high amount of muscle fibers active, so more motor unit recruitment, more MUR, more growth, right? So that's why sets first in the exercise, I told you I'm not scripting this. That is why first sets in your session are going to be the most stimulating because you're not in a fatigued state. What do you need to know? How do we apply this, right? Okay. We know that motor unit recruitment. We know mechanical tension. Basically, how do we apply this? The reps closest to the end of your set, well, it depends on a couple things, but are going to be the ones that are effective. So usually between those last 5 reps, because those last 5 reps are when you're achieving those high degrees of mechanical tension and you're also having those high degrees of motor unit recruitment. But yeah, let's fucking go on. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about progressive overload. Why is this so important? Why do people always stress progressive overload? So progressive overload is not causing muscle growth. I see a lot of people make the mistake. It is the expression of the adaptation. Think about it like this. A bigger muscle, right? If I get a big ass bicep, that big bicep can produce a lot more force than a smaller bicep. So if a muscle gets bigger, it is inherently getting stronger, right? And those two things go hand in hand. We can't fucking separate the two. Muscle gets bigger, muscle gets stronger. Oh, muscle gets, it's just what happens, okay? Now, why is it important? Well, progressive overload, also known as PO, is the increase in reps or load under these same conditions. What do I mean by this? If you go in for a crazy leg day with the boys and they're shouting at you, that is not progressive overload. It's not. Motivation changed. The conditions that you perform that set in changed. What is progressive overload? Well, it sure as hell ain't adding sets, drop sets, rest times, fucking intensifiers. None of that, because you're changing the conditions, right? One thing I want to touch on too, the reason why we don't want to change exercises so often is because of coordination. When you change an exercise, you're going to see immediate increases in strength. But that is from coordination. You get more coordinated as you keep doing a movement. So that isn't because you're getting stronger as a result of muscle gains. It's a result of, oh, my brain's just being less stupid. So don't change your exercises so fucking much. I think that's all I want to talk about progressive overload. Basically, this is the best way to track if you're actually progressing. If we know that a bigger muscle can produce more force, we work backwards. Well, we should be seeing fucking increases in the logbook if our muscles are getting bigger. Let's be honest here. Okay. Let's talk about ideal rep ranges and volume. I just spit all over the place. It's fucking disgusting. This video is going to be all over the place. More volume causes more muscle growth to an extent. Holy fucking shit, dude. They're fucking fatigue, man. Let me spit out my gum. They're fucking fatigue, dude. They're fucking fatigue. All you guys about the fatigue, man. So, yes, it's to an extent, right? So, really, yes, if we do more sets, we're going to get more muscle growth because there's just more stimulating reps. But the fact of the matter is you don't have an infinite amount of stimulating reps in a fucking set, and you're going to get to in a session, and you're going to get to a point where you're just at causing more muscle damage than muscle growth, and those two are two separate processes, right? So really what we want to be doing is 4 to 12 sets per muscle per week, and this is really all you need, in my opinion. This is my opinion, but I really do think that's all you need. And you need to divvy that up across the week. If you feel like it's not enough, evaluate your training intensity. How long are you resting? How long are you actually pushing these sets, right? And then it's all about trial and error. So starting low, maybe at that 4 set per muscle a week range, and then working your way up. If shit stops going up in the gym, then you know, okay, I'm doing too much volume, I got to decrease. So there's also no point in arbitrarily trying to calculate volume. So for example, right, if I do, a chest press, there's no point in saying, oh, how many sets is that for my triceps, right? No. Okay, stop trying to do that. Or doing a fucking lat pull down. Well, how many sets is that for my biceps? No, stop. What you do is you just you make smart decisions based on biomechanics, right? So if I'm pressing and it gets heavier at the top, well, we know that towards the top of the movement, my triceps are going to gain leverage, right? So pec lose leverage, triceps gain leverage, they're extending the elbow, probably going to be pretty much tricep dominant. So you can just use that to make informed trading decisions. Maybe you're going to do less volume than on a tricep extension, but you don't have to fucking count this shit and do like, well, that was 0.56 sets of triceps. No, stop. Okay, that's nerdy. Stop doing that shit. It's causing you more harm than good. Now, a lot of people will say, but I heard 52 sets causes more muscle growth. But listen, guys, studies aren't always performed correctly. So individual training age, rest times, muscle groups used all depend on this. Muscle groups have different rest time, have different recovery times, right? I mean, rest times used, if you're using lower rest times, you're going to need more sets because each set is going to be less effective. We can touch on that later. And then that's exactly why. So I always recommend that 5 to 10 rep range as well, because I feel like the 5 to 10 rep range is probably where we want to be. Now, people will say, oh, what about injury? Well, yes, guys, if you're doing 15 fucking reps, don't try to do 5 reps. What are you doing? You got to work your way down. Your tendons have not adapted to that load yet. You can't expect your joint to be able to tackle that kind of set going from 15 reps light load to 5 reps super fucking heavy. Not happening. You have to work your way down. Got it? So I'm glad we're on the same page. Are we you understand? We on the same page? Good. Got it? Awesome. So your tendons do adapt to heavy loads. They do. They actually do. So not a bad idea. When we use higher loads, maybe for rehabbing an injury, but even, physios are using heavier loads now to rehab injuries depending on the state. But it all depends on the individual, but really that 5 to 10 rep range is kind of my sweet spot. Why? It's going to be less fatiguing, less cardiovascular demand. I really don't see the point in going above like 12 reps. I just think you're getting a lot of contractions there, a lot of metabolite buildup, a lot of fatigue. More calcium ions, buddy. Yeah, not an ideal. So, how hard should you train, right? If you train like a bitch, you're going to need more volume. Your sets are less effective, right? Think about it like this. If you are leaving a lot of reps in the tank in your sets, you are not getting as many reps where there are high levels of mechanical tension and there's a ton of muscle fibers active. So there's not a high level of mechanical tension, which actually causes muscle growth. The fibers aren't sensing that, right? And there's not a lot of them active to even sense that in the first place. So your sets are less effective. So now you need more volumes to make up for that. But if we train harder, we need less volumes. So they're inversely correlated. You understand volume and intensity? I always say, take your working sets to like 0 to 1 IR. Beginners, and I'm looking at you, just go to failure. Come on, stop doing this. Go to failure. Now, you cannot accurately gauge intensity yet. I don't care who said what. If you're a beginner, you cannot accurately engage your intensity. You can experiment with reps and reserve training later down the road, being like, okay, I might be a little fatigued here. Let's throw in maybe 1 or 2 RER. Let's do this, let's do that. But stop. Okay, you're not going to get too fatigued from training one rep in reserve. Let's just fucking relax here. Go to failure if you're a beginner. If you're an advanced lifter, you could experiment with reps in reserve training. But if you're a beginner, just train a failure. And by failure, I don't mean drop the barbell on your neck. Okay, I don't mean drop the barbell on your fucking neck. I mean complete the set to the point where you don't think you can get another effective rep. That's what I mean. Okay, complete the set where you cannot get another effective rep. That is what I mean. Now, let's talk about weak points in your programming. So first thing I need to realize, do you actually have a weak point? Be honest with yourself. Because more volume isn't always better, right? We have to take this into account. More volume isn't always better. So do you actually have a fucking weak point, first of all? Because I know a lot of you guys are like, yeah, I got a weak point, my fucking bicep. Well, guys, come on. Your physique is small. Let's just bring that up first, okay? Stop doing this. But if you're actually advanced and you have a weak point and you've take the bias out of it, then let's address how to bring them up. So let's talk about more volume. Let's throw that approach out the window. Not really better. Now, we can talk about ways to address weak points. So the number one way I like to address weak points is first, let's look at the exercise selection and execution. How are these exercises being executed? If our upper back is a weak point and we are doing our T-bar rows like this, what's going on there? What's going on? Well, here's what we're doing. We're not really retracting the scapula all that much, and we're just turning this into an elbow flexor movement, right? Which is far from ideal for training the upper back. So now I know why your upper back's tiny, because you can't do a damn row properly. Okay, let's talk about that. But then let's talk about exercise selection. So now, let's say our triceps are really dominant. We're doing presses. Probably should do a fly then, right? Horizontal adduction. Bring that arm across the body. Isolate that function. So that's kind of what I want to throw out here. And also, kind of got to fuck around and find out, right? So fuck around and find out with the exercise order. If each set is less effective than the one completed before it, move the exercises that you actually want to progress on to the start of the damn workout, because they're going to be more effective. I'll give you guys an example. Tim. Okay, Tim, your friend Tim has small calves. Wakes up in the morning, he just fucking cries himself to sleep because he has small calves. He's like, oh no, man, got small calves. He has a fucking mental breakdown about it. Goes to the Golden Gate, all that kind of stuff. So what should Tim do in order to save himself from having a psychological breakdown if he has small calves? What would you guys tell Tim to do? Perfect. Yeah. So Tim should train calves at the start of the workout on his lower days, right? And also, let's consider days of training. So I notice this sometimes with my clients. Some days of the week, your motivation is lower because of life stressors, right? What's going on at work? What's going on in their life on these days? Or, that's something that I have to consider when I'm working with clients. So evaluate your own training. Are you less motivated on certain days? Are you exhausted? If you are, that might be a day where you have to change up your training schedule. Okay, let's talk about drop sets, supersets, myo reps, and dumb shit. Don't do them. That's all I have to say. Don't do them. I'm not even going to touch on it. Don't do them. It's pointless. Just stop. Also, choosing your split. How many days do you want to work out in the week? If it's 1 to 3 days, full body, right? No questions asked. It's 4 days, probably an upper-lower split, right? Upper-lower rest, upper-lower rest, rest. 5 days, you could do a UL, or you could do a PPL variation. Maybe like PPL, UL, some shit like that. Experiment a little bit. And I think I have some example splits coming up. Okay, so to be quite frank, I designed these extremely quick. So I literally I was typing shit in a Google sheet and it got very lazy because I'm tired. But let's go over it. So with pec press, For upper A, we're pressing. What is it going to do? It's going to work all 3 heads of the pecs, right? I don't care. Oh my God, the clavicular head of the shoulder. Shut up, okay? The clavicular head of the chest is still going to work because you're flexing the shoulder. Let's talk about that. Okay, get strong. T-bar row, upper back. Why? Arms are flared out, abducted, you're pulling back. It's going to be an upper back movement. Lat pull down, adduction in the frontal plane. Boom. It's going to work the lats. What does the lats do? What do the lats do? They bring the arm closer to the body, whether you're the sagittal plane or the frontal plane. Bring the arm closer to the body. Next, lateral raise. Lateral raise will get, lateral head of the deltoid will get some activation in these movements. But just to tease them a little bit more, throw in a lateral raise. Cool. 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 Bicep curl. Tricep extension. Done. Easy. Upper A. Done. Stop overcomplicating it. You could probably do like 3 sets. 3 sets. For arms, really, I just do like 2 sets. I really don't think they need that much volume. That is my opinion. Reps, we already know 5 to 10 rep range. Beep. Can extend that all the way down. 3 minutes. Beep. All the way down. At least 3 minutes. Intensity. Failure. Okay? I'm just going to say that real quick. Lower A day. Awesome. Quad extension. Cool. Kick the knee out. Okay? Extend the knee. That's all you're doing. Glute bridge. I know you want your glutes. Let's build some damn glutes, people, okay? Hack squat. This is risky. If you're really strong, you probably don't want to do 2 compounds in 1 session. If you're not, you're totally fine. Don't worry about it. Fatigue's not going to kill you. Why am I doing quad extension before hack squat? Why am I doing quad extension before hack squat, you're asking? Because I don't want to explain this, but quad extension is going to be more metabolite-related fatigue. It's going to be a less lengthened position exercise than a hack squat is going to be. So you're going to be experiencing less calcium-related fatigue. I'm not going to talk about that. It's too fucking nerdy, man. I hate talking about this shit. So you got a hammy curl, then calves. Cool. Awesome. Done. Upper B. Overhead press. Boom. Lat row. Boom. So you're in the sagittal plane, right? Psh, arm close to the body. That's what I mean by lat row. Pulling like that. T-bar row. What else are you going to do for the upper back but retract your scapula? Don't say a Kelso shrug. Don't say it. Pec deck. Going to train all 3 heads of the pec. You got bicep, you got tricep, call it a day. Lower B, ham curl, hyperextension, quad extension, leg press, calves. Done. Let's look at the next one. Let's see what I did here. Okay, this is an example of full body split I'm cooked up in literally 3 minutes. So let's see what we did here. So full body A, quad extension, working the quads. Lat pull down, working the lats, seated or lying leg curl. Doesn't really matter what the hell you do. Let's train the hamstrings. Then we got an incline chest press like this. Beep. Oh, punch my mic. It's going to work all 3 heads of the pec. And then you got a T-bar row. Awesome. Then you got a tricep extension. Cool. You got a bridge curl. Cool. I think that probably covers it. Except your glutes are going to be puny. Oh no, the glutes. Think about full body splits, guys. You don't have to hit each muscle 3 times a week. You can choose, like, if you want to bring something up, yeah, sure, hit it 3 times a week, but you don't need to hit every single muscle group 3 times a week. Does that make sense? Like, you can choose which ones you do. So you don't have to do each muscle every single day. I'm going to get some hate, but that's my take. These are just my opinions. This is how I program. And I didn't really look this over, so you're getting me live in the flesh, guys. Overhead press, okay? Anterior and lateral head of the delt. Now, since the shoulder is externally rotated in the glenohumeral joint, right? Maybe a little bit less medial head. I mean, not medial, lateral head than the anterior, but whatever, okay? I'm not even going to get into that. I'm not doing that fucking debate shit. Sagittal plane row, okay? What do I mean by this? Sagittal plane, it's this. Front and back, flexion, extension, pull. Cool. Pendulum. Squat. Just squat. Okay. But pendulum is, yeah, you're probably getting some rec fem action in there too. I'm not even going to get into that. Hyperextension, glutes, hamstrings. Okay. Calf raise. Awesome. Incline pec press. Cool. Leg extension, lying curl, glute bridge, tricep extension, T-bar row. Doesn't matter. Cool. Awesome. Got it? Got it. Okay. Oh boy. Every woman's favorite muscle group, the glutes. The glutes. You know, guys have made their whole entire business model off of training the glutes. So this is an upper-lower example that I made for a woman trying to grow her glutes and get that hourglass figure. Now, Smith machine shoulder press. Oh my God, but it's going to make me bulky. No, it's not. Okay? No, it's not. Stop. You're going to piss me off. So, no, it's not. So Smith machine shoulder press, starting it off with that, maybe get a little, anterior delt, lateral delt, and a little bit of tricep. Lat pull down, lats, do I have to say any more? Wide grip row, what are we doing? Rear deltoids for shoulder extension, bringing the shoulder back, but we're also, you guessed it, retracting the scapula. What does that? Your upper back, rhomboids and traps. Woo! So we're going to throw that in there. And then straight bar triceps extension. Okay. For your triceps, you got a little bit more volume. Preacher curl. Who doesn't want biceps, guys? Come on. Lateral raise. Because why not? Okay. You could. Oh! No, I fucked up. Okay, this should be a pec deck. Or one of these should be a chest press. One of these should be a raise or a pec deck or a fly motion. I don't care. I told you guys, I made this super quick. Okay, I'm like Speedy Gonzalez over here. I'm fucking speeding up on this fucking presentation. Okay. Glute bridge. Woo! The glutes, man. So with your glutes, man, I'm telling you, the number one exercise to grow your glutes is, you guessed it, a hip thrust or glute bridge. Doesn't matter. Hip thrust, glute bridge may be a little bit better. I do not like exercise names. It doesn't really matter that much, but a glute bridge is just where you're not really, I don't even know what to call this, where your hips are, where your basically upper back is lower, right, than your hips, and they're not parallel together. Because on a normal hip thrust, your upper back and hips are like aligned, whereas a glute bridge, you're basically like bridging on the ground. Think about it like a bridge. Hip abduction. Why are we doing this? A little bit of glute med, upper glutes, depending on how you hit the movement. Okay. Glute kickback. Why? Because we can still eke out a little bit more shortened position glute volume if we do something like that. You could even get a little frisky with it and throw in a Bulgarian split squat if you want to train the glutes in a lengthened position. You can definitely do that. You could definitely do a high foot position leg press if you want to train the glutes even more. You could do that too. And then you got quad extension for the quads, and then a hamstring curl, the hammies, and then a calf raise with the leg extension machine for the calves. Now with the calves, guys, calves work best in their lengthened position, so they don't really do a whole lot in the shortened position. So what this means is, on your calves, don't do a seated calf raise if your goal is to grow your calves. The reason for this is because the gastrocnemius, a big calf muscle, responsible for producing a lot of force at the ankle joint, right? Explosive movement. When you flex the knee and then the foot, it attaches the knee and the foot. Okay, so when you flex the knee, that muscle gets too short to produce a lot of force. It can't produce enough force for the movement. That's why I want our leg extended. And ideally with calf raises, it's going to look something like this. So ignore my shitty drawings. I don't care. This is your platform. This is your foot. This is where you're going to be. These are your toes. This is your ankle. You're going to be down here holding it, and then you're going to go back up to the midline. Then you're going to go down, hold it for like 2 to 3 seconds, and go back up to the midline. That's how you want to do your calves. Yeah, so that is the programming video tutorial, I guess. Comment questions down below, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this helps you out. If you're struggling with the implementation of any of this stuff, message me for coaching. I'm here to help you out. That's what I'm here to do. I can help you implement this stuff and actually get after it. The reason why I'm not afraid to share this information is because I think training and nutrition programs are the least valuable things you get out of working with a coach. I'm basically a fucking life coach with a fitness background. At least that's what I feel like half the time, right? So I feel like the training and nutrition itself is the least valuable thing you get out of working with a coach. What do you get out of working with a coach? You get a lifelong set of habits that are going to serve you for the rest of your life. That is the fucking goal here. We're trying to teach you how exactly we're going about this. We're teaching you, if you're interested, the biomechanics behind it. And then we're teaching you strategies to implement this for the rest of your lives and be successful with it. So I'm not afraid to give out this data at all. But yeah, take these programs with a grain of salt. I kind of wrote them just very quickly to apply these principles that I wanted to build on here. And yeah, this was off the fly. There's no script. And hope you liked it. Yeah, I'll see you guys later.